Hello and welcome to episode 55 of Constructing Comics, a podcast building stories one page and one panel at a time. On this episode, we have a review of Powers of 10, issue 3, This Is What We Do, and House of X, issue 3, Once More Unto the Breach. Your creative teams for the comics are Jonathan Hickman is your writer, R.B. Silva is on the penciler on Powers of 10, Pepe Larraz is the penciler on House of X. Your inker, again, on Powers of 10 is R.B. Silva, with the inker being Pepe Larraz on House of X. Colorist on both is Marte Gracia. Your letterers are Virtual Calligraphy and Clayton Cowles. Editors are Annalise Bissa, Cebulski, Jordan White. X-Men created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. And this is your spoiler alert for House of X3 and Powers of 10-3 and the two previous issues before. This is Matt, and I'm joined by Noah.
Hey there.
So, Noah, why don't you lead us off with your thoughts as we are at the midway point of both of these 6-issue series?
It's great to see that the midway point for both of them are these large, elaborate action sequences, basically siege sequences, which is just great. You know, whenever the X-Men sort of gear up and hop in the jet and go off to do whatever battle that they need to do, it's great to see that Hickman understands like what an X-Men comic needs to be. Like we've talked about this before, just what superhero comics need to be. You got to have the character stuff, you got to have the story stuff, but you also have to have an occasion for the main characters to punch people in the face. So there's definitely a lot of that in these two issues, but at the same time, Hickman, the artists, do a great job of unraveling the story as the action unravels as well. So it's not just all punching and explosions in these two issues. There's a lot more character development and plot development as it goes through as well.
Yeah, and with both of these two issues, and we're going to go in depth on the pages, but we definitely got, as we hit the end of both issue 3, we got what appear to be very key moments in both series.
Yeah, well, and also, especially in Powers of 10, issue 3, the ending of that is going to be an iconic moment that will be referenced for all time, basically in comics. And it knows that. That's sort of the thing, because like it sort of handles it well, and we'll get to it when we talk about it. But it's an iconic moment already, and it's gonna be huge, and it'll be in all the Marvel guides and X-Men guides from here to eternity.
Yeah, and when you kind of think about it, we certainly didn't know that was going to happen, but we were in a little bit of a way. We were the possibility of that was telegraphed to us. With the previous two issues in the series, that something like this could happen.
Exactly. So it was an inevitable thing, but at the same time, it was a great twist that I didn't see coming. And it also shows that there's a lot more possibility to this universe than we've currently known. Like we've known there was a lot of possibility, but then implementing that into a main storyline, it sort of makes it even bigger. So excited to dive into these issues.
All right, so the first issue is Powers of 10, number 3, and I'm glad that I did reference the reading order because I brought both of these books back at the same time.
Yeah, I've been really confused. Yeah,
in my head I was like, okay, it's House of X and then Powers of 10, but just a note for everybody: make sure you look at those reading orders.
I had an interesting experience at the comic shop on Wednesday, and I was just sort of perusing through issues of stuff. And I heard a conversation between the guy running the front desk and another guy walking in. He was like, I don't really like House that much, but Powers is a great series.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, what? I wanted to shut up and be like, what are you talking about? They're the same series. But yeah, that was a funny moment for me. So I was like, wanted to.
That would be interesting. I wonder if there's anybody who is just reading one of the two independently.
It must be so lost.
Yeah, that would be an interesting. If anybody is, just let us know and let us know how that reading experience is.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's dive into the issue.
Okay. So we start off at what is this? This is that year 100.
Yeah, we don't even get to 1,000 in this issue. I think it's the whole time it's year 100.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And this is one of the human mutant machine hybrids given a speech about sort of explaining more of the background and the hierarchy of certain things in this world, because we've had descriptions that Hickman's given us in previous issues about how X-Men Year 100 works now with the sort of marriage between mutant and machine. But there's more elaboration going on about like sort of there's a process at birth of like human or mutant children where they get basically combined with machinery. So that was interesting. You pointed out like you like the symmetry on this page.
Yeah, the character is lined up in the center. The two people presenting the baby's in the center. The trees, the framing. It's very symmetrical and pleasing to the eye, which I'm sure was designed.
Yeah, and it also goes along with the religious symbolism that's been sort of plaguing this series, and it's very stained glass. I mean, of course, the background is sort of a stained glass thing, but the image itself is something you would see on like a stained glass artwork.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So, it talks about worship, and I like that they. What's his name? Who wrote Paradise Lost? That he switches it around.
Is it Milton?
Milton, yep, Milton. So better to serve in heaven than to rule in human hell. So there's a lot of twisting and turning of like classic, I guess religious text, in a way. I don't know if Paradise Lost is continuing. I guess that's literature, but but still, yeah. But then we get the Four Horsemen, or I guess part of the Four Horsemen, the new X-Men arriving on the scene from the last issue. They explain that they're going to do a raid on where Nimrod's main base is to find out how to destroy him. And this is their entrance, which I thought was a pretty cool half-page shot.
Yeah, it's traditional superheroes. The page before the panel was an explosion, and then we sort of get that heroic, standing on burning rubble, looking fierce, about to come in. It's standard superhero fare, but it's also it's comfortable and it's cool to see.
It's also this is a page turn, right? This is the first image.
Yes.
There's a lot of great page turns in these two issues. A lot of really cool stuff happening here. Yeah, I like what's interesting is that we know it kind of goes in order about who we know the most about, in as far as like information that we have. So we this guy, because he's Zorn, right? Yeah, Zorn is an old character, an old established X-Men character, right?
Yes.
And so we know a lot about him. He's sort of an established character, and he's the most prevalent in the image. And then we have Rasputin, who's sort of a combination of Rasputin and Magic and Kitty Pryde. And then we have the combination of Nightcrawler in the background, who we know a little about, but not as much as we know about these two main characters. And then in the background, we have this guy who we barely know anything about. So I kind of like that. Like there's this sort of representation in this image about what we know about all the characters. I'm curious to see where this green dude's going to go, or if they're ever going to come back to him to talk about his background at all.
Yeah, and I think to go along with that, the fact that we don't even see any facial features on that character. He's the helmet is in shadow. But he was earlier when they come back with the drive, and Wolverine's like, let's go see the old man. This guy was standing there as well, right?
Yeah, he's been prevalent in all the powers issues. I mean, he's been in the background at least, and he's wearing Magneto's armor, and they kind of explain who he is a little later and some of the details, but we still don't know enough about him as far as what his genealogy is, I guess. What his true motivations are. I mean, it's always suspicious when you have a guy in shadow. I mean, he looks really cool. Maybe that's just all it is, but always a suspicious thing when someone looks like Magneto. I like this. This is just great nihilism from Zorn.
We saw a lot of that in the previous issue. So this is a continuation, not breaking character at all.
Yeah, and it's also great to see, I think Hickman sort of has a prestige around him of being sort of very serious, like a very serious writer. But like I'm reading through Manhattan Projects right now and stuff like that, and some of his other stuff. Like he's a good comedic writer, and like he knows how to put wit and humor into his writing.
Yeah, there was a Secret Wars issue where it's very sort of behind the curtain, where he's a character in the book. It's like Secret Wars 2. It's like TOO.
Oh yeah.
And he's like sort of at like a Marvel meeting, and he's pitching Secret Wars and how he's going to destroy the Marvel universe, and he goes into the bathroom and he's like, nervous, and like Doctor Doom is there telling him like not to mess it up. So yeah, he does have a sense of humor at times.
Yeah, I think it's a great sense of humor. It's sort of it's not too grim. Like he just writes it well for characters, just like who's going to be more, more funny and whatnot. Yeah, but then we get a bit of a description of the characters about the Four Horsemen. Mm-hmm. We know that Wolverine is War, Death is Zorn, Pestilence is it North? Is that the name? It's Emma Frost, and then
yeah,
and then Famine is Krakoa / Cypher, and then of course we have the other four mutants. Silobo, Rasputin, Cardinal, and Percival, and then Mother, and we find out later who Mother is.
Yes.
Yeah. And then of course we go back. We have a lot of Nimrod back and forth between Nimrod and the X-Men in this. Mm-hmm. Nimrod, who's also a very funny character, has a lot of great witty dialogue, but it's sort of great to see his reactions play out through this scene. I really think this is Silva who's the artist on this one, right? I'm going to get things mixed up.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, Silva's great with expressions, and so is Gracia. Gracia is the colorist. I'm probably saying that wrong. Larraz and Silva are magnificent with their facial expressions on the characters. Yeah. I love the beats on this page, and actually the beats on this whole issue are pretty great. Mm-hmm. It's sort of like this simple 1, 2, 3, 4 back and forth, but like, repeated panels wise, like there's more of a pacing thing here. And I like how he repeats these two panels right here just to give a good pause before the what, it's just a cool page layout, but I like how it plays out. It just gives you enough time to digest what's going on. And I really like that. And to make the impact of the last panel really great, or what happens on the next page where he sends his minion off. Yeah, it's pretty great. I just sort of like how the layouts are. And then there's some great beats here too as well. I like how it goes from medium to close up really fast to just to show the drama of the scene. Mm-hmm. Great expressions. Again, Silva's really good at that. And there's the priest from the beginning. Mm-hmm. And then there's this is another page turn. And you get that guy. It's a great reveal that the Sentinels are there to thwart whatever's going to happen.
Yeah, this page, this was one of the pages that I really liked. It was just sort of, it's just anytime you get Sentinels walking in, again, it's sort of, it's a heroic entrance or, a dramatic entrance. And, a few pages ago, we got the X character showing up, and now sort of who's going to take on the X characters. They show up in almost a similar fashion.
Yeah, I also like how Sentinels really aren't like a joke in this book, Mm-hmm. I can definitely feel the menace in the characters and the robots in this series, that they've sort of like, Marvel's really good about keeping its machine characters as menacing, because I kind of like how there's sort of an inevitability that they're going to make everything extinct within the Marvel universe, whether it's Ultron or the Sentinels. There's always this sort of fear of artificial intelligence and robots that sort of prevails all comics and sort of makes them a constant threat. Mm-hmm. They're not like battle droids in Star Wars or anything like that, or even sort of what Terminators have become, where like they're either too hard to kill or too easy to kill. You know, like there's just always sort of this representation and this strong symbolism that they represent sort of the end of everything. So when this page shows up, you get a real sense of dread.
Yeah, and this is comic books and superhero comic books, but I just, it's sort of like when you watch a movie and like a helicopter sneaks up on people.
Yeah.
Like I'm just wondering how these Sentinels were able to sneak up without making a noise or
Yeah. My favorite,
a bunch of rumbling.
Yeah, and you'll get kicked out of this. My favorite moment of that in a movie is in Mission Impossible 3, where Tom Cruise is on the bridge, and then the helicopter like slowly sneaks up on him, like, oh, where'd that come from? Yeah. But yeah, that's definitely this moment right here. Yeah, and more quips from Zorn about how basically he's just been waiting to die, and it's hilarious. But that's all a diversion so that Wolverine and Apocalypse can sneak in and get the data, and with the Tree Man, and get the data that they need to shut down Nimrod.
Yeah. But that Tree Man, that is the combination of Krakoa and Cypher, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. And because he's got all the plant stuff and communicates with the technology on Krakoa and all that jazz, so that makes sense. Basically, Nimrod's figuring out what they're doing the whole time, and he catches on to what their plan is pretty fast. I love this. This is another page turn. This is very Watchmen right here. Where you have a match cut to the first panel of the next page. This is the last panel of a page. Then it cuts to this, and it's a perfect match compositionally, where you have a clear left and right side of information. It's just a nice way of transitioning to a next page. I really like that. Now, I was reading it digitally, so that meant panel by panel.
Yeah.
So I really got that nice match cut of the composition. It's very cinematic, but it works really well in comics when you do something like that. From a design standpoint, it's just good. It's just good comic making.
Yeah.
And then just want to focus on this page, because this page also has some great beats that goes into a great page turn. I really love, dialogue used to just sort of make it urgent, but at the same time not slow there's a pace control here with the dialogue that I really love. That basically leads up to this moment, and I like how it's sort of centered, so your eye moves fast through it, but then the dialogue kind of slows you down. I also like this. It's not necessarily centered, but there is sort of this stair step subject,
Yeah,
like
there's
a diagonal.
There's definitely a bit of a centering, but a diagonal to sort of move the panels and the word balloons flow, and the even when you get down to those last two panels that are close in on Wolverine, and I think that's two Wolverines there. The chins, they point you in directions.
Yeah, and there are all these great lines on the third and the fourth panel right here, leading your eye down as well. So him looking here, and then these lines leading down. And then what's great about this last panel is that all these lines are just sort of directing your face towards Wolverine, and then his gaze is leading you off the page.
Yeah.
And then to this right here, which is a great page turn to have someone being exploded by another robot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had some close-ups on these pages, but I just really love these panels of Wolverine. It must be just great to be able to draw Wolverine in a comic, and I think these artists clearly show that they're just having a blast,
Okay, and so I want to go back a second, because I think I said that those were two Wolverines, but now am I not seeing that correctly?
It's just one Wolverine? Okay,
because originally I thought that the top one had facial hair, but that looks like that's just sort of like a illumination on the chin.
No, he's got the white scruff, but yeah, you can barely see his white scruff on the final panel though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because for a while I was worried that the Wolverine from the Ultimate Universe was running around here as well.
No, it's the same Wolverine.
Okay.
Old man Logan almost. Yeah. Then, yeah, bam, boom. I like this moment right here. It's just a nice wide shot. It's really epic. Love the sword being lit up. It's very fantasy, very Frazetta. I love it. Love this pose right here. I love, again, Zorn, even to the end when he's dying, he's still like wanting it, you know? It's just great. But then this is just another great, just good expressions, good facial expressions right here. And these three in a row, I didn't show the whole of this panel because it's really great if people are watching this just to pick up the issue and to see just not only Rasputin's expressions, but also Zorn's expression in this. And just makes this one all the more rewarding when you see both of theirs together, to see her go from confidence to dread within 3 panels. It's great.
And there's a lot of you get a lot of like tone shift, or actually you feel things, you kind of like feel things change as you go from a red to a blue, and even you know, you're hinting at it, but you know what happens on that splash, you know, we see a little bit of that sort of as it's on its way, as that character's face is illuminated in a blue tone.
And that's just good comics and good storytelling in general. The more you draw out suspense, the better the payoff is, you know, the more effective it is. So yeah, it's I don't think I had a photo of the explosion because, again, people should just read it. It's pretty awesome.
But that explosion does have a bit of a Akira to it.
Yeah, definitely. It's got some Akira. What else weren't we reading something else where they had that in there?
Yeah, there was an explosion in Gideon Falls. That was very much you know, a callback.
And then me and my wife have been watching Dark, that series, and they borrow that image from Akira as well, like the black explosion rising up out of the ground. It's pretty great. But yeah, then I love at the end you get some self-sacrifice from Apocalypse. He basically, so that Wolverine and the Tree Man can get away, he was going to hold off Nimrod, and I have a lot of this fight. It's just good, just well-posed action sequence where, like, you know, Nimrod's gotten him down. He's still fighting. Just good action poses in this whole sequence right here.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the pages here, but like the kinetic energy and the effects, they actually look a lot brighter digitally than they're great on the printed page, but here they almost are like amplified a little bit.
Yeah, I love the blur effect here. I'm not normally a fan of that in comics, and I still would like to see it without the blur, but at the same time, it goes well with just sort of the impact that they need to show about how powerful Nimrod is. But then of course, it kind of, the tables turn when Apocalypse unleashes his fury and is just able to just, like, you know, let loose and, you know, give it to the guys before he loses his life.
Yeah.
And then we find out who Mother is. This issue goes by really fast, and I think that's because of all the action in it. But we get to where Mother is, and we find out that it's Moira. And Wolverine gives her the information about Nimrod, and basically at this point we're figuring out, oh, of course, you know, if she has the info about when Nimrod comes to life, she can reincarnate herself and then warn another timeline about when he's going to come in so they can destroy him right away without, you know, many issues.
So I have an art question here, and I didn't see this on my first read, and we've talked about this in the past. Is that texture on Wolverine's chest? Is that a thumbprint, you think?
Yeah, actually, I screenshotted that and the next couple of panels because it's repeated.
Okay. Oh, wow.
On several other panels as well, and it's very Sean Murphy, isn't it?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm guessing this all looks like Silva's drawn this digitally. I mean, it looks like it is, but it may not be. I don't know. So he might it's just sort of interesting. I'd like to ask him about that choice. It's a cool effect. It really is, and it fits with Wolverine's sort of, you know, the what's his name? Barry Windsor Newton, you know? how he always drew Wolverine with like all those lines on him just to show how hairy he was or how scarred up he was and stuff like that. So it's a cool way of doing that without being too crosshatchy or anything, just sort of giving him this cool texture, making him rough like you're supposed to draw Wolverine.
Yeah.
And then, but at the same time, it's a cool effect about the lighting, as well. Like maybe it's like a strobe light. I don't know.
No, okay. Yeah.
There it is there too.
And these are one of those things that we've talked about, like where sort of like on first read, you don't really see, but going back in and taking a more critical look at it, I'm seeing them on this review.
Yeah. And you can actually, it's the lighting. I don't know. It seems like it's either a lighting or a texture choice, but at the same time, Moira's got it on her shoulders right here as well. Yeah, it's a cool choice. Like I really like it. And then, but story-wise, she basically tells him what we are all expecting at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Just do what you do, Wolverine, which is murder women for the greater good. Yeah, so.
He's the best at what he does, and what he does is not very nice.
No, it's not. So I didn't put the panel in here because it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Of Wolverine running Moira through, because people just need to find it on their own. I don't want to be that guy who puts that out on the internet, because that's just not cool. Because it's a very beautiful panel, and like I said, it'll be iconic for a long time.
Yeah.
But this is how the issue ends right here, and so ended the 9th life of Moira X. And I guess they haven't specified what life she currently is in sort of X-Men year 10, have they?
I don't think so. I've actually flipped a page to look at the next chart.
Yeah, I've got it. Yeah, I got this guy pulled up.
Yeah. So yeah, this. So is this how it is on the digital copy?
Yeah, this is what I got. Yeah,
okay.
I put it together. It's all separated into pages or panels or whatever. So I just put it together for this slideshow.
Yeah, because no, that makes sense. I wonder if it would have been more effective in the print version to have this sort of be like a gatefold folding cover.
That'd been cool.
So that you can sort of, as you have it represented here, you see the whole thing.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. Been easier to track that way. Yeah. Maybe we'll have to go back after the series is over and look through these charts and these graphics again, see what's hidden in there. Yeah, because there's definitely a lot of detail here and a lot of stuff.
So the 9th life is represented by that sort of dark red line, and this is that right? Because I
think so.
It says year one at the end of it. It says year 123. Moore dies after receiving Nimrod's origin files.
Right.
That's what we just witnessed the page before, right?
Yeah, and then that was we just witnessed before, and then this black line is probably what we're going to be going into for the next issue of House of X.
Yeah, and it's represented that that timeline has not been concluded with those sort of arrow-like lines.
But like Destiny explained in the issue about Moira, there is she has possibly 11 lives in her.
Oh, okay.
So this isn't the last life for it. It could be. She said 10 or 11 lives. So this could possibly be her last life, but there might be one even after this as well. But I like that tension, that there's only so much that they can do. Like she can't keep doing this. So that makes the stakes even higher.
Yeah, I mean, the ability to reincarnate gives you, do-overs, but you do have to sort of, and as you get closer to that 9th, 10th, possibly 11th life, you have to sort of be more strategic about it than you would have been, say, earlier on in the first half of those reincarnations. So it is sort of, an advantage, but you only have, it's a good sort of thing. You give a character a power, but you have to limit that power, a little bit.
Definitely. Yeah. It's like what we talked about. We've compared it to Edge of Tomorrow, where Tom Cruise's character can only reset it as long as he still has the alien blood in him. But if he gets killed or like injured and someone transfuses his blood, he'll lose the ability. Yeah. So that makes the third act all the more, intense if he doesn't have that ability anymore. So it's it's very similar to that in that sense, where it's sort of like it's a cool power to have, but you only have so many in you before something happens.
Yeah.
And then move on to House of X, where it mirrors powers in the sense that they're all going off to raid bases.
Mm-hmm.
And Cyclops says he's assembled a team. I just sort of like this. It kind of matches the composition of the beginning of the last issue as well, where it's sort of symmetrical.
Mm-hmm.
You have this sort of halo effect going on. And Xavier and Charles give him his good luck. And basically, I couldn't find the verse, but I thought, for the righteous can never truly die. They live on, transformed into something immortal by their mighty works. I thought that sounded like a Bible verse at first, but it's like a combination and weird like amalgamation of several.
Okay.
So like, again, it just sort of like Hickman doing this weird religious thing again. It's very cool. Like he sticks with it. And the fact that Magneto's giving him that sort of speech is very, it's very to the character. It's very consistent, like that moment. But then we get our wide team shot, where we get to sort of see a brief preview of who's all going to be doing the raid.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty solid team, like pretty cool stuff going on here.
Yeah.
And we'll get a cooler shot of them coming up. Or maybe this is the only shot. I'm thinking of something else. Nope, this is the cooler shot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got Wolverine. Who's this? I don't know.
Is that Magic?
Yes. Yeah. Magic. Angel. Oof.
That's Monet.
Jean, Nightcrawler, and Mystique.
Yeah.
Yeah. So pretty cool team. You got I guess this is probably the expendable character right here. Who's going to die first? Then we got some cool sequences in here. Great shot of the jet leaving. Love this. This is a cool base right here where they're holding Sabretooth.
Yeah. Yeah, this was I enjoy for courtroom drama. I enjoyed this a lot.
Yeah, this is a pretty cool sequence, and it great intro for the issue of Sabretooth, basically showing his contempt of court.
Yeah, do you read any East of West?
I don't.
Oh, okay. I got a lot of like East of West sort of vibes from this. I mean, it's two totally different artists, but sort of it's weird that like the character design here is sort of reminds me a lot of like the East of West world. So. Oh
yeah, they have like soldier designs like this in there.
Yeah, they're like marshals and cowboys like that, but it's sort of a dystopian future. But these guys were very much sort of in that vein. So it was kind of cool to see that.
I'll have to I have the first trade and I've read it before, but I need to reread it again now that I'm on this Hickman kick. So I'm definitely, after I'm done with Manhattan Projects, going to pick that up again. Then we got some cool shots of just how everybody's so scared of Sabretooth. And again, cool beats on this page, like the sort of wide shot and then these 4 close-up shots of this interaction.
Mm-hmm.
I like how this guy's always looking up at Sabretooth to show how menacing he is.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole page, there's always this like vision of just sort of how big Sabretooth is during this whole thing. Then I love just like this sort of moment where the background drops out and it's just the characters. And then the background drops out completely just to show you in perspective who's in charge here.
Yeah. And that's cool that, the Wolverine Sabretooth, the ability to sort of track by scent is an ability of these two guys. So to use that to sort of allude that something's coming is cool.
Yeah, I like that. Also, I like, I've really enjoyed this about Larraz's style. I like this when he does these panels like this, where the borders drop out, and he just lets the white sort of, your eyes sort of fill in the blanks about where the panel borders are. Mm-hmm. It's just a cool thing. It's a cool style choice, but it's also really cool to see how he integrates it into the story. It's not like he just does it whenever, he's got a real moment of of drama to use it for.
That chair back looks a little wonky, but
I would have maybe gotten rid of that. I don't think it needed to be there.
Well, if you're going to keep it, maybe just it's just so like lacking of detail, like but it's still very cool, but that's just a little it's a
nitpick. Yeah. But I agree with you though. I would have just gotten rid of it, or like it looks very drawn very fast, like how none of these are the same size or anything, which fits with his style. He's not like the most like straight line kind of guy, but I don't know. It was drawn very fast. Like you said, it's not rendered very well. Yeah. So they could have just gotten rid of that. I'd be interested. I might do a Photoshop session later, get rid of it, see how much better it looks. But then we have our intro with someone we haven't talked about since the first issue. And here she is. It's Emma Frost with the two ladies from the first issue of House of X.
Yeah.
And you were right, because you called it. You were like, doesn't Emma have twins that follow her around? And those were the twins.
Yeah.
So Emma comes in, stone cold.
Yeah, that's again, this is another comic book dramatic entrance, but that's a really great panel.
Great drama here with the light bleeding in, and love the shadows and the cross hatching on her cape. But look, there's a fingerprint right there.
Oh wow.
Yep. Right there and there. Yeah. So cool to see that stuff. Maybe we need to go back through the issues and do a fingerprint count.
Yeah.
I like how the colorist decided to go over the lines on her dress right here to sort of show her sort of standing out, bleeding through the courtroom, making her more of an impact by sort of her breaking through of the black.
Yeah.
The lines. It's a cool choice. Even from a distance, they didn't have to do that. This is a smaller image, but that's just a cool choice. And there's sort of a game of chicken. No, there's frozen up. There we go.
Yeah.
These moments. Yeah, I love that the judge is even carrying a gun in this proceeding because he's so scared of all the mutants. But I highlighted this just again to talk about sort of the expressions that both Larraz and Silva are really, there's a lot of animation to these characters. There's a lot of life brought to them. I love the toothy grin that Sabretooth has, and just this anger that these two guys have, and they're not taking anything lightly in this proceeding at all.
Yeah.
But at the same time, whereas all these guys are pretty expressive, then there's Emma, who's just, very expressionless, not a lot of detail on her face. She's just cool as a cucumber and ready to rock. But yeah, they basically say that they have diplomatic immunity. They can take them away if they want to, and they do. And then we cut to the Orcus Forge, where the Mother Forge is being built, and possibly the Mother Forge is Nimrod. And we get some interaction between these guys.
Yeah, this is just a great great panel. Outside the station, and then we move in, and if you look at this page as a whole, the direction of the sentinel head there, and then when it's on the third and final pages, they're almost in the same direction.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, third and final panel.
Yeah, it's great to see this like detail, but also a sense of geography being built up as to where things are throughout this whole sequence.
Mm-hmm.
It's it'd be one thing just to be like, it's a space station where, they're on the space station at this place, but Hickman writes too detailed for that, so that there's a real consistent sense of geography here. Yeah. And then get some more interaction about how the Mother Forge is coming on and how it's more than that they expected. Do you know what the Heller Faust line is that she's talking about here?
No, I do not. I'm unsure about that.
Yeah, I looked it up and I couldn't find anything about Heller outside of like there was like a the first thing that comes up is the Heller versus the U.S. from 2008, where it was all about Second Amendment rights.
Oh, okay.
And then Faust, of course, sold his soul to the devil.
Yeah.
I don't know if that has to do with something about like a weapon, but also something that can bring about impending doom. I don't know what it means, but also I don't know what it means in X-Men lore as well. Like if that means something else.
Yeah, like I said, I'm unsure about that.
Yeah. Then of course you got the jet approaching. There's an ominous sort of I like that moment right there.
Yeah, that's
it's like light. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's a cool shot. And then of course we have the Sentinels mounting up. Is this what you're talking about earlier? The other issue where you have this very cool like the Sentinels are always sort of shot as like almost posed and as drawn as seriously as the X-Men would be.
Mm-hmm.
I also like sort of the Pacific Rim Transformers vibes getting from the Sentinels right here.
Yeah, they, you have these big mechs. Why not, specialize them and turn them around to, to perform the task that you need. So yeah, that is pretty cool.
Yeah, it makes sense too that they're working on a forge. Yeah, to have construction-based Sentinels, it's cool.
Yeah.
It must have been fun for Larraz to come up with different designs and different elements that he could include in each Sentinel.
Yeah.
It must have been a blast.
Yeah, not having to draw the same one over and over again. While that is cool and they're, as a force when they're all the same, but this is something different. So
yeah, it had to have been freeing and fun. Yeah. And then we get some cool shots of all the X-Men getting ready to launch, but at the same I love this like Kurt's recon mission going forward. This is another cool page with some really cool beats. I love the guard design right here. Like there's sort of there's this cool elements like combinations of like aim and shield and sword, like all in their uniforms. Like it's a really cool combination of them all, but they all keep sort of the aim helmet design, but I like them in red, like more than in yellow. It's just a cool, I like that sort of commando stormtrooper vibe that they're giving off here.
Yeah.
But I like these, I like the beats going forward here with the ship landing and docking.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this sort of solid, like nice wide shot, silent. You can sort of take in the drama of it. And then this wide shot of all of them in the jet, and then this realization of what's happening right here. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I also like showing the doors, all the different doors closing from different angles. It's just sort of quick and like, you move through it fast, but you get it.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
And I thought I had, maybe I didn't. I thought I had screenshot Kurt's recon. Oh, here it is. Yep, I completely skipped over it. Yeah, this moment where Kurt's on recon, and these are really cool beats. I like how he's teleporting and he's breaking the panel borders as he's doing it on the different levels.
Yeah,
and then cool. It ends on this nice, like this really cool hero shot, like, of these two guys and then him in that cool position, the superhero landing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a cool way of leading your eye around is to use Kurt's different poses and his bamfing.
Yeah, to use that ability to change up the way you would design panels. It's, you're looking at the character that you have and the ability that he has, and you're sort of when you look at it, you're like, okay, what can I do with that guy to make the panels or the page design different? And this is just utilizing the abilities that he has in a cool way.
Yeah, it's killing multiple birds at once. It's just a really cool page. Yeah. And we talked about those. But this also, I like how it takes its time for this guy to realize what he has to do. I think that's why I highlighted these moments right here.
Mm-hmm.
But they're all gearing up to get ready to go in. And then this guy's realizing what he has to do in this moment right here, where he disassembles his weapon and turns it into a bomb.
Yeah.
And I love the drama in this image right here, having him mostly be in shadow, showing conflict, and heavier blacks means heavier drama, I think, in comics, and it's just really great. And I like the lights in the background as the sparks are flying around him. And great expressions, great dramatic expressions right here leading up. So these close-ups, we've talked about this a lot, but the close-up wide, and cutting to that wide, breaking the pattern really makes the impact of the moment so great.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of in this scenario where you have close-up on the face expression, close-up on him hitting the detonator, then cutting to wide of the jet exploding, and then that's where the issue ends.
Yeah.
And it's just a cool way to end this issue.
Yeah, two dramatic endings at the midway point of both series. So it's we're in full action, at this point of the story. So that was the end of House of X3. Needless to say, I think we're both continuing to enjoy these issues. So
yeah, way more than I thought I would from the beginning. It's pretty amazing. Yeah.
All right. So do you want to? So I've actually read the next issue, so I know what happens. You haven't.
I haven't. No.
But do you have any closing things you want to do here as we bring this to an end?
I don't, nothing really comes to mind. It's just always great to go back through these issues and to encourage, if anyone's listening or watching, send us an email or send us a message on social media about your thoughts about the issue as well. I'm hoping people are listening and going through this with us and picking up these issues, because they are something to pick up. And I think that everybody's always looking for that next Watchmen of sorts,
Mm-hmm.
where, issue by issue, you're getting a great story, but you're also probably going to have something pretty spectacular when it's all collected.
Yeah.
And I really think that's what this is. So it's kind of cool to be going through this, talking about it, and would love for more people to join in the conversation, because this is going to be a big moment in comics.
Yeah. I actually, I got a lot more with this second go through as we just went through it here than I did with the initial reading. So these are enjoyable and informing to me as well.
Yeah, I love doing this, and looking forward to doing it with more series in the future as good stuff comes out.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for our recap of both issue 3s of Powers of 10 and House of X. We'll be back. I think what we're going to do going forward is just sort of combining the issues. So next time when we do a review, it'll be a review of both issue 4s. I think doing them together sort of brings the story together. So
it really does. Yeah, I like going through them issue by issue, but I really like having these two, having both series, going over both of them at the same time.
Yeah, and this one worked out really well with it. Like you said, this was 2 raids, raid in the future, and I guess a raid on what would be considered the current timeline. So
right, and they're raiding, what we thought was the future is now actually the past. Right? So now that's trippy, right? It's that it's Moira's past was the future. What that we thought was the future is now the past, and what we think is the present is the future for that. Yeah, but it's pretty great. Yeah,
so I guess there's director's cuts. I think there was a director's cut for the first issue, but a lot of the stuff was redact. Well, there was a good bit of information that was redacted, to
Okay.
not spoil future issues. But what would be really cool is like when it's all concluded, to get like a director's cut with no redaction, so we can see sort of all of that planning. Because like you said, what we thought was the future is now kind of circled back and is the past. So there's got to be some complicated notes going along with this.
Yeah, and how it's all going to relate to year 1000, I'm really interested to see. Because that's the confusing part of this series, where we have no idea how that's linked up, and we know little about how it links to everything else.
Yeah. All right. So that's going to do it for today. And if anybody would like to see some of the pages that we broke down, give us a follow on social media. We are on Twitter at ConstructCompod. We are on Instagram at Constructing Comics Pod, and we are on Facebook at Facebook / Constructing Comics. We're going to put this one up on our YouTube channel, Constructing Comics, because it's a very visually heavy, and Noah did a great job with the slides. And if you could also give us a rating and review, and share the episode, so anybody who's interested in X-Men or storytelling can check it out. And I'd like to thank everybody, and we will be back very soon with another episode.